Great. Well, good morning and welcome to day 5 of the meditation challenge. So happy to see everyone again and happy to see everyone making meditation a habit. So today we're going to go back to our awareness of breath meditation. So that's the first meditation we learned on Monday. And if you remember, that's where we place the mind's focus on the breath. And the breath really acts as an anchor. We also learned that we can think of our mind as like this clear blue sky, and all of our thoughts are just passing clouds. So if we don't engage with them, they'll eventually just pass by. So the meditation teaches us not to fuse or to identify with our thoughts, but really just observe them. And that's kind of what I want you to think about, as you go through your meditation practice, is that you are the observer. So you're the one that's noticing the thoughts. But you're not actually your thoughts. So when you're experiencing things like anxiety or anger or even like jealousy, that's not what you are. You can just observe them. They're going to come and go. And with a consistent meditation practice, we're going to become more aware of our thoughts, and we won't be led by our thoughts. So we can make a little bit more space between our thoughts and our actions and our reactions, because we can take a step back. So really what that does is we stop operating from autopilot and we go to aware. So I think this is the whole autopilot to aware. Let me explain this in a story. So say you're at work and you receive an email and you immediately get a little bit frustrated because the person who sent the email is telling you something that you did wrong for something that you were responsible for. So, we've probably all gotten those emails before, and you're immediately, kind of the hair starts to stand up on your arms. Before you even know what you're doing, you've already clicked reply, you're sending a snarky response back, and you click send. But then, after further thought, you take a look at the email again, and you realize, well, maybe this person had a point, or maybe you had misunderstood, or maybe you accidentally replied all when you really had only intended to reply to the individual. So you were letting your thoughts, your emotions really dictate your actions. And that's really where I see meditation coming in as like such a powerful tool. So it's then we're not being controlled by those thoughts that now we know just pass like clouds and they're going to come in and come out. But we actually can take some time to kind of step back and consider how we want to respond. So that's where we go from autopilot to aware. Now, when we act on autopilot, we act based on from conditioned behaviors. So these are all of the things that we've just learned to do, and we do them kind of rote. We just do them automatically. But if we don't actually make effort to kind of step back and observe our behaviors and create thoughtful responses, you start to notice that you start to get yourself into the same situations. So maybe it's the same relationships, the same disagreements, or the same bad habits which you've been trying to overcome. And then again, that's really where the power is. We start to live with a little bit more attention, with a little bit more awareness, where we have the ability to choose how we want to respond. So meditation is going to show you that you don't really have control over your thoughts. They're going to come and go. And we know that we don't have control over our external events. We don't have control over what people are going to say or do. The only thing we really have control over is how we respond to these things. And with a consistent meditation practice, you'll just start to see that you do create that space between stimulus and response. So I wanted just to quickly read a quote from Viktor Frankl that really illustrates this point. So he says, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and freedom." And I would say that's really one of the main reasons that we meditate. And I'll go into more of the reasons that we meditate as well tomorrow. But it's really so we start to have control and can live intentionally with awareness, that we don't act on autopilot from conditioned behaviors. So we can guide our thoughts rather than our thoughts guide us. So I just wanted to go over a little bit of that, because I think awareness of breath meditation, which is probably one of the most common meditations and ones that you'll probably do most frequently, really helps us to observe our thoughts and be able to create that space. So we're going to go back to that meditation this morning, but we're also going to add a mudra. So if you come to my yoga classes, you know that I often add a mudra to the beginning of a class. And a mudra is it's almost like yoga for your hands. So it's an energy lock. So different mudras help you to cultivate a different particular type of energy. So there's a lot of meditations that have mudras with them. Today we're going to go take dhyana mudra. So what that is you take your left hand, the right hand will rest right on the left, and then the thumbs will connect. And if you often see photos of meditation, people are often in this mudra. So this is a really common mudra for meditation. And what it does is it helps to cultivate just a feeling of like concentration and calmness. So as you go through this, you might even just notice that you do feel a little just concentrated, calm, and you'll be able to focus a little bit more. So we're going to hold this mudra throughout our meditation. And remember, for our meditation, posture is important. So maybe even take a moment where you can kind of sit up straight. And you can be in a chair, but you do want shoulders stacked over hips. So you want to be alert so you're not falling asleep. And in meditation, eyes can either be closed or they can be gently open with the gaze at one particular object. I find for most people, closing the eyes is probably easier, but you can try it different ways. So on Monday, I had suggested that for each inhale and exhale, you might want to silently label inhale, inhale, and exhale, exhale, just to help cultivate and keep that focus. So today I'm just going to show you a different technique. If this doesn't work for you, you can go back to the inhale, exhale. You can either just focus on your breath, and that's all you need to do. But if you want something to kind of give you a little bit more of that anchor, you can count your exhales. You can try to count up to 21, and whenever you start to notice you're lost in thought or you lost count, simply go back to 1. And one thing that I think about is interesting, I remember when this was first taught to me, I was like, well, surely I can count to 21 without being distracted. And it's actually really challenging. You start to notice that, if you can get to 5, that's, you'll be happy. But it's just an indicator that we don't really have all that much control over our thoughts. But you can try doing that. So just on each exhale, just start counting. 1, 2, and then if you find that you're getting a little bit off track, just go back to 1. So you can try that. If you don't like it, you can go back to labeling inhale or exhale, or you can simply just observe your breath. So we're going to get started. So sitting up tall, you have your dhyana mudra. You can close your eyes here. And take a moment. We'll just start to settling in. So bringing the attention back to the body, back to the breath. And generally, I like to start by even just finding a part of the body where I can just feel the physical manifestation of the breath. So whether that's in the belly or the chest, it just helps to bring me back to the body, back to the present moment. And then we'll get started. So you can just start to observe the breath, the inhale and the exhale. And then just maybe you start counting each of the exhales. Remembering if you start to lose count or you just start to notice that you're lost in a train of thought, you can simply go back to 1. And it's just gently calling the mind back, just like you were if you were training a puppy. Remembering that you can observe your thoughts as they float by, but you're not going to engage with them. You're not going to add to the storyline. Remembering you can just come back to 1 at any point where you lose track of the numbers or find yourself wrapped up in a thought, and gently guide the mind back. Just start at 1. for the last minute or two, I'm just starting fresh, releasing any opinions that you have about this meditation, about how it was going, what you liked, what you didn't like, but just starting completely fresh right from the beginning. Clean slate. You can start to release your mudra, maybe bringing your hands to your lap. And then you can slowly start opening your eyes as you start to come out of your meditation. And so as you start to practice on your own, you might want to try to increase the time a little bit each time, but anywhere really between 5 to 15 minutes a day, I think you'll find really beneficial. And again, it's more important to have a consistent practice, so less important to have a really long meditation, but more important just to have a consistent practice. I think in the morning is a great way to start off, just to get grounded and to get set. So that was our awareness of breath with a mudra. And like I said, that was dhyana mudra, and that's a mudra to help cultivate concentration. And it's probably one of the most popular for meditation. It's generally the one that I use, but we'll go through some other ones as well too. Tomorrow, we're going to work on a meditation that is both mantra and mudra that I think is really great to help connect us with our inner wisdom. And we'll also talk a little bit about how meditation can be used to really differentiate between who you're hearing, whether it's your ego or your higher self, and kind of the direction of which voice that you are going to heed to. So we'll have an interesting talk tomorrow and a new meditation. So I want to thank you guys all for joining me today, and I will unmute you to see if you have any questions.